in TQ Amsterdam with Ankrnetwork. How are you doing?
Very good,
Ryan?
very good, very good. Pleasure to meet you today.
Ankrnetwork, maybe for the wider public, what is it?
So Anchor Network, a distributed cloud computing platform on trusted hardware. Basically, what we do is to use a protocol called proof of use of work on the consensus level to achieve decentralized cloud computing. Yeah.
All right. So the unused computer power you actually gonna use to mine or?
Yeah, basically that allows people with a general CPU, well, as long as it has trusted hardware on it, basically to contribute the idle computational resources for enterprises or scientific researchers, so that it can basically monetize on that idle computational power.
And what is the minimal requirements? I mean, when I got a laptop or desktop or?
Yeah, as long as you have a CPU, which is yeah, as long as you got a CPU, you don't need to have any fancy chip. So what we believe, this is all about is about utilizing actual waste or actual idle resources. Let's say you buy a ASIC miner and you're not using it. That's not called idle computational resources. You bought it for the purpose of mining coins, right?
All right. So it's actually a decentralized network. We see in the Bitcoin, we got these powerful mining pools. How did this idea erupt with you guys? I mean, was because of more decentralization?
Yeah, so the idea is in the proof of useful work consensus mechanism, the largest difference is the fact that people are not only getting the mining reward, but also are getting the payment by doing the useful work for the sort of a useful work client. Let's say I am an enterprise or I am a research project. I'm paying you to do the research or to do the computation for me. Let's say I hire 1,000 computers across the globe to do that computation for me. Now you are getting paid from me who tell you to do the work, and at the same time there is a person process which determine the block generator as well as the block and as well as mining reward. And so there are two incentive layer. One is a sort of normal payment layer. The other is the mining reward layer.
All right. Maybe do you have MVP yet? I mean, you talked about you have a test net already, and the mainnet is coming end of this year, or?
Yeah. So as we've showed today at the event, we've already demonstrated the capability of Ankrnetwork, delivering a very similar functionality as AWS Lambda or Alibaba Function Compute. Basically, it's the very first, test network of Ankrnetwork, and it is running on 15 of our engineers' computer. And by the end of the year, we will have a public-facing mainnet.
Right. And do you have what will be the potential challenges for your company? Is it more in the hardware? We see lots of hardware developments going on, or what are the challenges actually?
Yeah, so I think the point you mentioned, sort of hardware, and I think this is one more time just to clarify. So you don't need to have any fancy or new hardware to do this. As long as you've got a CPU, you'll be able to participate in the network. And I think the challenge, there are two steps of the challenge. The first step is more on the conceptual level. So sort of educating the general public about decentralized compute. Now, what we're going to start is we're going to start with the BOINC network sort of participants who are already and understand the concept of distributed compute or decentralized computation. So we believe that's going to be a good head start because they're already familiar with the idea. And later on, the company obviously need to make a larger push to general public and having everyday people to understand the concept and to join the network. And I think that's going to be a long way to go because it's a relatively new concept for many people. And I see that the adoption is something we need to focus on going in the future.
Okay. And we've seen some projects like Golem and that are using these computational power. I mean, what do you do better than Golem, for instance, or other projects?
Yeah.
Different?
Yeah, I believe projects like Golem, like Definitely, many other projects in the space are doing a fantastic job themselves as well. Everyone have different approach. We are all working very hard towards the dream of decentralized compute to realize a sort of a cheaper cost cloud computing infrastructure. Now we believe what Anchor is special at is leveraging trusted hardware. Now, by leveraging trusted hardware that can bring on much better privacy as well as better efficiency, because this time around it is not going to be limit by the smart contract because the compute is actually on the chip level. Now, if it's on chip level, obviously the efficiency will be improved, and at the same time, by leveraging trusted hardware. And if the work is executed on the hardware enclave, the privacy will be preserved.
All right. Last question. The token sale, are there still tokens you can whitelist at the moment, but when does the token sale start? Or?
Yeah, so currently the whitelist process is essentially a pre-registration, and there are two stages what we're doing. The first part is, obviously, to be frank, there are a good amount of people did the whitelist, and we are very humbled that the community want to contribute to the project. But we believe in really meeting people and seeing really tell people face to face, explaining what we're doing, and we think it's important to communicate that through instead of people, to be frank, just trying to make a quick buck in the project. We care about sort of understanding of the project in the long run, and the exact sort of contribution time is going to be in September, okay. And this we give enough time for people to do the registration. And the stage one is we do 10 city global meetups, and people will come to the event, have the allocation, and on the stage two, we actually look into all the suggestions and advices that the community provides us in the part when people do the pre-registration. I think if you've done the open token whitelisting, there's last part. Ask for your advice of how should we run our public sale, and we are obviously taking into account people's opinion. We've already analyzed more than 11,000 responses, and we will show very clearly sort of what people preferred us to do, and okay. Just do what people prefer us to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Ryan. So people should go to Ankrr.network, isn't it?
Thank you very much.
Right.
It's www.Ankrr.network. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.